Hello and welcome to this edition of Coffee Break Conservation. Today we're going to look at the question, were ships' timbers ever used in historic buildings? It's a phrase that you'll be very familiar with, typically seen in estate agent sales details when trying to sell a historic barn or timber-framed house. There are in fact very few documented cases where it's genuinely true, so it would be correct to say that there are some buildings which do have some ship's timbers in them, but these are incredibly rare. And in those cases, it might just be one or two sections from a timber ship or a plank, that sort of thing. If it's a subject which you're interested in, the buildings archaeologist James Wright has written an excellent book called Historic Building Mythbusting, and he has a whole chapter on the topic. So let's have a quick run through what it's all about. This building, the Chesapeake Mill in the village of Wickham in Hampshire, is known to contain some proven timbers from a ship which was called the Chesapeake, hence the name of the mill, and it was a US frigate which was captured by the Royal Navy and then broken down and its parts sold. Some of those have ended up in this building, we know that. This is a building which I've seen in Cromer in Norfolk, and that circular sectioned timber going across the ceiling there, I believe to be off of a ship and a mast. This is quite likely to be the case, although I've no documented proof of that. It's just that the building is literally on the seafront, located less than 100 metres from a known historic ship's breakers yard, and the mast there has some markings which are probably from ropes and metal strapping, and I've done some documented research trying to find ships which have these sorts of markings, and I do believe this is possibly a bow mast off of a small ship. The story comes really from seeing things like this, which is timbers with mortises in them which no longer have anything attached, or perhaps they're in a really unusual position. Maybe they're in a place in the building which doesn't obviously show any alteration, and therefore it seems plausible that the timber is reused. It's very likely that the timbers probably were reused from other buildings, possibly suffering from demolition or fire damage. Timber is a very valuable resource, and especially in historic days. So the reuse of timbers probably is correct, but saying that those timbers have come from a historic ship is very unlikely to be the case. This spiral staircase, which I saw in a building in Wiltshire, was apparently from the mast of a small ship. Again, no provenance on it, simply a story which looks good when written on some sales details. This is a plaster cast of a head on a building which I saw in Biddenden in Kent, Grade 1 listed and alleged to come from the Spanish Armada, but actually it's got a fairly hollow back and is made of plaster, not timber, and is, in my opinion, can't be any way associated with the Spanish Armada, but who knows, perhaps it is, but I don't believe it is. And this building, also in Wiltshire, is alleged that this roof is the upturned hull from a boat. If you've ever seen a genuine stripped down small timber framed boat, you would know that the timbers are very substantial indeed, and slender rafters like this could not possibly have come from a boat. There is no provenance. It seems too flimsy and too small. I think we could understand that the shape of it, if I just go back to the previous image, if you turn that upside down, you could imagine the shape of it might look like a hull, but it's not really plausible that that is actually an upturned hull. And why would it end up in the middle of Wiltshire anyway, even if it were? So, if you're interested in the subject, there's lots of documentation and research online which you can seek out. As I say, do look up for James Wright's book. So, hope that has been interesting for your cup of coffee today, and do check in to other things that we're doing on the cbcstudies.com website. Do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and look for us on social media. Enjoy your day. Thank you.